Hello, welcome to Convict Inc. I'm your host, Robert Rosso. If you have not subscribed to this channel, please do so. If you like this video, please push like, share it with your family, friends, neighbors, enemies, etc. All the Mafia channels that are gonna have a shit fit when I say stuff like that and cry and wah, wah, wah. Okay, so I just ended a video I did about Al Prophet's videos or whatever, okay? And in that video, this made me think about something, and that is mob influence in prison. I have to start again, and I've repeated this since I've started this channel. I am from California. I did time first in Arkansas Department of Corrections, even though I was busted in California first. I ran, they caught up with me, I had to go back to California. Then I did time in California. Then I did time in Arkansas again for a violation. And then I went into the feds in 1998. I am a white guy who was never influenced around or cared about anybody in the Mafia. I cared about professional surfers. Jerry Lopez, Larry Hamilton. If there were professional surfers in prison, those would have been my idols, okay? Mafia guys, even though I am Italian, I grew up with a lot of the same foods they did. My grandparents were very much off the boat or first generation. One of them's off the boat, one of them's first generation. So I grew up eating all the same thing they did. That was the common bond between us in prison, the mob guys, I mean. But here's what I want to say. The first person I met was John Stamp. I didn't even have a clue who he was. Lesser known Philadelphia boss at one time, whatever. But what I'm gonna say is this. John Gotti was in federal prison when I was in federal prison before he died. Okay, he died when I was there, obviously. So what was the common theme and joke about the mob dudes? And this is squarely laid on the Gambino crime family's shoulders, okay? He completely made them a joke by not hitting Sammy the Bull. When anybody would talk about that wasn't in that life, that wasn't from the East Coast, and that's the majority of people in prison really don't care about mob guys, okay? That's from my own experience, okay? Get somebody from New York who was on the East Coast and did all their time, they'll tell you a whole different story. I'm telling you my story. It was like a running joke that this Sammy the Bull clown can testify against this mob guy who's supposed to be able to go whack everybody, and they did nothing to him. It was a bigger joke when he got busted for the ecstasy. I mean, people were rolling over. And I hate to put this on Carmine Persico because this guy, I was so close to this man. When Franzese, Michael Franzese, who's not a rat, but is a huge rat, when he came out and stopped being a mob, but then went and tested, whatever, all this stuff he did, but he says he didn't do, that made the mob look bad too. So you got John Gotti, who doesn't hit Sammy the Bull, who puts him in prison for life. His brothers are out there running the Mafia. They're like a dumber than dumb crew, right? So then you got the Franzese thing. That totally destroyed the myth of the Mafia in a federal prison sense. Nobody would think twice that I know about taking out a contract or smashing a mob member. Jojo Russo, who I was there the last 17 days he was on Earth. I helped him when he was dying. I was there the minute before. When he died during count time on a weekend, his family just came in to visit him. I set up all the preparations for him. I wiped the dude's ass, okay? I'm not saying that in a bad, I did. Me and Tommy Karate both did together, changed his diapers, okay? But Jojo Russo did some foul shit to a dude named Joe Monte, and I put Jojo Russo in check. I didn't bat an eye. Jojo Russo had a goon squad, okay? He came to me originally and wanted the Dirty White Boys to basically be his goon squad. He didn't say those words. What he wanted to do was back up a ticket, back up stores. In other words, throw money out for protection for him. So he'd rather pull the strings from behind the thing. No, he ended up getting three guys named Big Nick, Adam, who is talked a lot about on Blood on the Razor Wire. He killed the cop at Big Sandy. I would have never saw that coming at Lewisburg. Never in a million years. And a dude named Big Red, who was a big rat. So those were his three goons. I didn't think twice about the goons when I put JoJo on check in a very serious way. So, and that goes to they're just people. I don't care if they've got $1 billion. I don't care if they can put a contract out on me. If I got a problem with somebody, I'm going to go see them. I'm not tough, okay? But the mystique of the mob, because the Gambinos didn't do anything to Sammy the Bull, it crushed him. And to this day, I would argue they're still crushed. Then you got the John Jr. thing, okay? Who just goes on 60 Minutes and drops out, and I'm not doing this, and then takes the, what is it, Queen of the Day plea, or Queen of the Day, what was that thing you call when you go debrief? Emphasis on debrief, okay? Queen of the Day, he was Queen of the Day, okay? Now he's Queen of whatever. But anyway, that further just said, like, these dudes are like a joke now, right? So all you people in the mob genre, former mob guys that are rats, that have shows, I'm sorry, you guys might have, maybe some guys have money. I was told that Bobby Manna at one of the FCIs, basically he was like the guy that ran things. Did he run things through money? I don't know. Did he have people hit? I'm not really sure. That wasn't an FCI, right? That was at a medium security, right? So in the higher up, in the USPs and stuff, those dudes aren't sharks. They're guppies in a shark pond, in a sea. Guppies? That's not. No, they're minnows. The minnows. They're minnows in a sea full of sharks in prison. Money. If you have money, you can wield some power. You can have people like the dirty white boys or the ABs or anybody else go hit people. But when you stand alone, as a member of the Mafia, you're standing alone. You're just a person, you know. There's guys in prison that are Mafia members that are men. Carmine Persico was a man in prison. He wasn't extorted. He'd fight when he had to. And I might add here, bringing up Carmine again, when Carmine was in the chow hall and a kid from DC threw Kool-Aid on him, went to slap him, then there was almost a big fight on the yard, that dude from DC didn't hesitate, okay? So he didn't even think about the fact that Carmine was a acting mob boss when he was in Butner, but he never even crossed his mind because nobody really sees it like that. Nobody outside of guys on the East Coast. I'm not putting down East Coast dudes. I'm trying to give a different perspective about all this. Cares about those dudes in prison. And I'm not putting those guys down. I'm not putting the individual mob members down. Georgie Borzese or whatever his name was, phenomenal dude out of Philadelphia. Not putting him down. I'm trying. And by the way, I'll add that Georgie had MB unit. That was basically his block. Passed a lot of money around. They make that, bought everything. And I'm not saying, not about violence or anything. So the money he passed around, you know, yeah, he was the white guy go-to in the block for sure when I was there. But my bigger and overall point is that the mob influence that people think, or how is this mob guy in prison, or this mob guy in prison that the mob guys in prison they're seemingly small. They're seemingly small unless they were a big boss. Most of them just stay out of the way. They're model inmates, which is not a bad thing. They're walking the line in prison. Maybe some will funnel or fund an illegal adventure of some kind. But in general, what mob? Take care.